All right. Appreciate everybody coming out today and joining us. This is Logan Manshack, our sheriff. I'm Matt Tappy, and everybody here pretty much knows us all. And we're going to be going through a series of questions here with our sheriff. And so I thought it'd be good to kind of breaking ground here. Just tell us about yourself. You know, how many years? Have you been a deputy before becoming sheriff? How long have you been the sheriff? You know, what made you get into a career of law enforcement? Your overall experience, and yeah, we'll go from there. I'll ask you too many questions at one time.
All right. I was born and raised in Northeast Louisiana, a little town called Oak Grove. I moved up to Waleeka, Oklahoma when I was about 18, and I've lived there ever since. When I was 18, I took a job at the Waleeka Police Department, dispatching and jailing. I was there for a little while and then went over to the Okfuskee County Jail and did the same thing there until I turned 21. Went down to Waleeka PD back to become an officer. They sent me through CLEAT. I did roughly 3 years there, and then I come to the county working for the sheriff's office. Shortly after that, I became the investigator for the county / daytime deputy. And I did that for about close to 7 years. And in January of this year, I took over as the sheriff. See, is there anything I'm missing in there?
Yeah, overall experience, throughout your career.
Well, there's the good thing about, working in a small department. You're not like a bigger department where they have special units that deal with this or that. You kind of catch everything. So we have the same crime that bigger cities have. It's just on a smaller scale.
Right.
And you learn how to work everything. So there's not just one thing that you learn to specialize in. You pretty much learn how to work everything.
Gotcha. What's the most rewarding and most difficult part of your job?
Really, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
It's rewarding when you know that you made a difference.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to make a difference in the community. And I'll be honest with you, it's not all the time that you see that difference, but on the days that you do,
mm-hmm.
that's really when you get that sense of rewarding.
Right.
As far as the most difficult part of the job, just like with anything else, there's dark days in this job, especially when you deal with, the loss of life and things of that nature, which, we probably see more than just about anybody else around here. That tends to, that's a real difficult thing to deal with, and something that you take with you, and it doesn't just end when the job ends.
No, you can't. Sometimes you can't get those images out of your mind. You wish you could, but
right. I mean, there's a lot of good that's in this job, and there's a lot of good reasons to do it if you're in it for the right things. Right. I mean, of course, with everything in life, there are some bad apples out there, but we try to stay away from those as much as possible.
Right. So, I think a lot of people don't really understand, how our sheriff's department is funded. Me, myself, personally, I never knew, so maybe you could talk to that, how you're funded, maybe, what kind of taxes or grants you receive.
So most of our funding from our general fund comes from a small percentage of our ad valorem tax, or property tax. Of course, Okfuskee County is not a big county, so there's not a lot of property tax, so we don't really get a lot of funding off that. So we try to make up for it with grants and stuff. The biggest thing that's a grant that's helped us is the Sheriff's Assistance Grant, which became available last year. And that allotted us $150,000 to buy equipment and things to help with the sheriff's office. Last year we bought patrol rifles for the deputies, just because that's not something we've had. We got radars for the deputies' units. We get a lot of calls a lot of times about people complaining about speeders, on their roads and stuff. And the county we don't actively work traffic. I mean, we stay pretty busy working, crimes such as theft and things of that nature. So traffic isn't like a big thing that we usually do.
Gotcha.
But if somebody calls in and says, hey, we're having trouble with people speeding down our road and stuff like that, this will help with that, which we've already utilized it a little bit, and we've had positive results out of it. Along with that, with the grant, we bought 2 brand new units. Every year we've tried to at least buy at least 1 new unit. The reason for that is these newer units, you're not paying as much as maintenance costs as when you get hand-me-downs or these older trucks from wherever. And we've done that for years because you can get them for cheap.
Yeah.
Well, the drawback to that is you're paying, double what you paid for them on maintenance and things of that nature. So with these newer trucks, we're not really having the maintenance bill that we had, and actually it evens out.
Right. Yeah, and you actually have a unit that you can use, or the one that's in the shop,
Well, I'll tell you. So when I first started for the sheriff's office, I was in this old green-colored Ford, and every time you drove somewhere, you come to a stop sign and it'd die, and you have to put it back in park and restart it before you go again.
Oh,
So we've come a long way, and the previous sheriffs that we've had have worked to get us to this point where we're at, and it's a trend that hopefully I can keep going.
so sales tax, does that play any factor in there?
Not directly to us.
Okay.
I mean, so the way it works is your sales tax, I believe here in Okemah, we have a 10% sales tax. 4.5% of that sales tax goes to the state of Oklahoma. 3.5% of that goes to the city of Okemah. 2% of that goes to the county of Okfuskee. So of that 2%, 1.25% of that 2% gets split along different programs such as the OSU Extension Office and different things the county funds that I guess people really don't think that the county funds, but they pitch into. And then 0.75% of that 2% sales tax goes to paying the bonds off that built the jail. When they passed it went to a vote of the people to build the jail. It was built on a bunch of bonds. So each year we take what we've saved up, from that 0.75 and we pay those bonds off.
Gotcha.
Whatever we can afford each year until the point that we get it paid off.
Gotcha. Is there a possibility of adding in like an additional sales tax? I mean, that you could maybe get, it's always a funding issue of, getting more money,
Well, the unfortunate part of that is, so as far as sales tax goes,
Yeah.
the county is capped out at 2%. That's statewide. Counties can only draw 2%. Now, say if the jail got paid off, either myself or the county commissioner, well, I'm sure the county commissioners have to approve it, but it would go up for a vote of the people to see if they would want to put that 75% towards either the sheriff's office or, the roads or things of that nature.
Yeah.
The only thing as far as a tax increase that would help us would be the property taxes. And, I pay enough property taxes, I feel like, so I don't want to ask the people to have to increase theirs.
It's always that balance of, trying to,
Right.
Everybody wants more police, more, more this and that, but then they don't want to fork out the money
Right.
at the same time.
I mean, something that the counties never really went for in prior years that I've been here, and even before that I know of, has went out for grants.
Yeah.
Now, I understand why, because you have to have a really good grant writer. Grant writers are really hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
The good ones, anyways, know what they're doing. And to hire one is really expensive.
Wow.
So
I know one smart guy that works for you. I mean, he's pretty smart.
He's pretty smart, but it's also a very time-consuming thing, and you don't want to take away from
his other duties.
Right.
I got you. Yep. All right. So one of the questions we had was about the marijuana grow facilities. I don't know very many people that like them around here. Mostly the smell, and kind of infringing on your neighbors, a little bit, and the trash and the, what, and I I know the answer to this, but what can you do about that?
Man, I mean, I'll tell you, even at the sheriff's office there, if the wind's blowing just right, smell about knock you out some mornings.
Wow.
You know, oh, excuse me. But we've done a lot of operations with the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics to shut some down, but until they change the laws on it, we're still going to continue to have problems with it because, you know, we can go in with OBN and shut one down, but it seems like in 2 months' time, they're back up and running again.
Right.
Unfortunately, they kind of took when they wrote that whole deal up, they took the power out of local law enforcement's hands. And really, your two big entities that are over it are the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics and the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, OMMA. OMMA, they're not a law enforcement agency. They're more of an administrative agency. So OBN's who we usually deal with. The only problem is they're a state-funded agency, which means they're all over the state.
Gotcha.
They may be busy in other counties all the time, so it's a little slow to get to us. But they do come out. I will say we've done several operations, but like I said, probably 50% of them within 2 months' time, they're up and running.
Right.
So
kind of the unrealistic expectations some people have is just, you know, march in there and get rid of them. You know,
right.
That's just not doable.
And I'll tell you, you know, these people that come in, a lot of them, while they're most of them are Chinese nationals. Now, we haven't come across any illegals since I've been in the sheriff's chair, or since the new administration in Washington D.C. But I can tell you that prior administration, we've run into some you know, illegal immigrants, even on the Chinese side. And the previous administration, they took no action with it. So your hands are kind of tied on that deal, and you can't really do much with them.
Yeah.
But most of these grow farms we have, they're people from out of state. Most of them will have either a New York driver's license or a California driver's license.
Right. Yeah, and the whole ghost owners, I guess you may say, I know is an issue where they'll go and get their neighbor to get their license in their name, and I know I know that happens quite often also, and they're hitting them now for that also.
Yes.
I've noticed.
Yes, they're being a lot more proactive on that, which I do like. OBN's really taking the initiative to try to go after, I think the word they use is straw owners.
Yep.
And they really took an initiative to do that. So that's helping us out slowly but surely.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of that money's probably going overseas. And I seen in fact, I read an article, I think it was in the Prague paper, trying to remember the exact number they said. But it was like, I believe it said like 30 some times the amount of marijuana, you know, is grown in Oklahoma in relation to the demand.
Yes.
You know, and somebody they're shipping it all out of state, you know, is what it. But I've noticed them seem like quite a bit of law enforcement on the highways and stuff, you know, trying to watch for some of that, you know, as I'm traveling. But you've talked about some of this already, but what are some of the changes, improvements you've made to the department since becoming sheriff? And you talked about the equipment.
Well, so for years, the sheriff's office really has been behind technology-wise, to the point where, I mean, you know, some people have referred to us as Mayberry. I'm really trying to get us up into the modern age. I've implemented a new reporting system that we're going to. We're just waiting on them to deliver the stuff for it, which will integrate where hopefully once we get that in place, we can get a website. But mainly it's just bringing us into the modern age. I mean, the county commissioners are working with us right now to get new radios. My commissioners have been great to me. Matter of fact, they bought us the radios and are trying to help us get our own dispatch center with those radios, because right now I can tell you for half the county, when my deputies are out here, you can't hear them on the radio. And that's a safety issue, not only for the deputies, but you know, it's a communication issue and everything else. Well, these new radios are what they use in the modern age. They hit off cell phone towers, and you know, you can hear clearly from states away if you needed to. So we're working on getting that. and hopefully help that deal. As far as other improvements, I mean, you already know, but I hired Terry Garner on as my dedicated investigator. I have deputies that take calls during the day, so he can focus solely on investigations. Uh, Terry is very knowledgeable. I'm very thankful to have him. And Terry knows how to use these new techniques that we have to try to catch the bad guys.
Yeah.
So
we don't want to tell them all about them.
No.
We don't want to give that away.
But so far, utilizing Terry has really helped us, and we're getting some results out of that.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that we decided to go ahead and do that.
I know you talked about your coming up with a policy handbook.
Yeah. So the sheriff's office. We've had a policy book, I guess you could say, but it's never really. It's been more of a county handbook. There's never been a policy book specifically for the sheriff's office. So we're working on creating that right now. I've got one of my deputies is working on getting that wrote out for us. And of course, once that's done, we'll have to send it off to our legal counsel so they can sign off on it, and then the Board of County Commissioners will have to sign off on it.
Gotcha.
And we're looking to do that for both the sheriff's office and the jail.
So how has the McGirt decision affected Okfuskee County law enforcement? And are all deputies light horse and our county cross deputized?
So McGirt, I remember when McGirt first happened. I mean, it was a big. I mean, we were all in limbo. We weren't sure what we could do, what we couldn't do, things of that nature. But I will tell you today, as far as on our side of the spectrum goes, it's the same thing, just where we send our paperwork to.
Gotcha.
We are the deputies are cross deputized with light horse, and vice versa. We're part of the Southern Light Horse Division. All their Southern officers, some of their investigators, and some of their canine units, I've issued cross deputizations to. While my guys they'll respond to McGirt cases or they'll respond to native calls, but sometimes Creek Nation does have vastly more resources than we do. So sometimes we'll call Creek Nation and say, "Hey, do you guys want to take this over?"
Yeah.
For example, they have an investigative division just for domestic violence. So a lot of the times they'll come in and take those over just because they have investigators that's their sole purpose.
Gotcha. As far as like housing their, the suspected criminals, I guess you'd say. I mean, y'all do quite a bit of that for them. Correct?
Yes. So we house for Muskogee Creek Nation, some Seminole Nation, and Hughes County.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's actually helped your jail out, from what I understand.
Yes.
Correct.
We charge them a fee of $41.67 per head per day. That number is something that I come up with last year. I did all the math to see how much it costs to run the jail in a year, and then I divided that by 365 days of the year, and then I divided that number by our average number of inmates we had throughout the year, and I come up with $41.67. Now, the thing that makes us different than other jails is other jails, they upcharge a lot. I mean, Sapulpa and Tulsa County, from what I've heard, I don't know this for sure, but from what I've heard, they charge $68, $70 a day. I'm charging everybody the same price at cost.
Gotcha.
It should be fair for everybody, in my opinion, so that's how we do it.
So, what are some of the, we kind of covered some of this, but some of the goals you have for the sheriff's department? I believe when we spoke beforehand, you talked about new facilities possibly,
Yeah. So my goals for the sheriff's office, of course, is I really want to expand our coverage as far as deputies go, because unfortunately right now and prior, we'll have one deputy on shift. Well, if my deputy's tied up on a call down in, say, Graham, and something happens in Payton, it's going to be a while before they can get there. And the hope for that is where we can have 3, maybe 4 out at one time. That way we can cover all corners of the county pretty equally. also, on that same note, you'll have more deputies out patrolling the county. One thing that I've really harped on the guys is, stay out of these municipalities where they've got active police departments. They've already got people patrolling here. Let's take care of our people out in the county. Another thing is, my deputies they don't make a whole lot. And of course, law enforcement is like anything you buy at the store. You get what you pay for. Now, we've been fortunate enough that I have a really good group of guys. And for a majority, the people that I've got right now, while they're young in their law enforcement career, so to speak, they have their hearts in it 100%. And most of them have ties to the county, so they have an interest here, whether they live in the county, they have family that lives in the county, or they're from the county. Mm-hmm. They have ties here and they care about the community.
Gotcha. The facilities?
So the facilities, eventually, what I would like to do, whether I find a grant for it or we ever get the money for it, I'd like to build a training center.
Yeah. And
I'm not talking about something expansive like, CLEAT or something of that nature, but we really don't have a classroom location for my guys, even to do just basic continuing education classes that we have to do. And I'd really like to just build a building where we can put a classroom on one side of it and then maybe have a gym or something so my guys can go work out at whatever time they want to. And I think that'd be real beneficial for them.
Gotcha. Let's see. What are the biggest public safety challenges in our community right now that you are fighting?
Well, I would say, our most common thing that we have is theft. And, theft, for the most part, is driven by addiction. Yeah. Which leads us back to the drug problem. Which, unfortunately, our lawmakers decided, well, I guess I can't really blame lawmakers because it passed by vote, but when they passed the medical marijuana deal, it made all other drugs a misdemeanor, and it's just a slap on the wrist. So when you get into these hard drugs like methamphetamines, fentanyl, things of that nature, if it's not over a trafficking weight, it's a slap on the wrist misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So it makes combating that a lot harder, but I will tell you, fentanyl has moved into our community. It's been a problem.
Yeah. That's I know they've talked about the overdose incident, incidences in jails and stuff, and I've heard of that even.
We had a stretch there for a while where we were having to Narcan people back in the jail on a weekly basis. One thing we did to combat that is we installed a body scanner. So when people come into jail, they run through this body scanner, and I'll tell you what, that's knocked it down quite a bit.
Yeah, can't hide from that, can you?
Right.
Gotcha. So, as a citizen myself, I look to help the sheriff's department. So that's kind of one of the things that I was wondering about is how can the community help the sheriff's department?
Well, the biggest thing is look after your neighbors. If you see something weird, don't be afraid to call us. We'll come check it out. As far as solving the crime, as far as getting to a court standpoint, I'll tell you something that'll help us out a lot is get cameras.
Yeah,
cameras are amazing.
Yeah.
If you catch it on camera, it's pretty hard to argue that.
And good quality cameras.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard to do something with that blur of a camera from the 90s,
Right.
But that's the biggest thing, because I guess the biggest misconception, with law enforcement is, somebody out there may think that we got good evidence and stuff like that, but it's a whole process for us.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes down to the court system. You need to make sure that, did you get that evidence appropriately? Did you follow the proper steps? It's a whole process. So when it comes down to a jury trial, you get all these legalities that come into play. And a lot of the times, somebody may get off on a technicality.
Yeah.
So you have to really be careful and know what you're doing.
Right. Let's see. So how does your department engage with the community to build trust?
Well, I would say the biggest thing that we're doing on that end is by hiring people that are local.
Yeah.
They grew up here, they lived here, or they know people here, and they have that rapport with them. and it builds that trust in the community. I'll tell you, for years, and even now, it's hard, for somebody to say, hey, straight out of high school, do you want to come work here for pennies on the dollar? And a lot of people just aren't interested in it, which, law enforcement's not a big thing that people want to get into nowadays anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems, and that kind of brought up one of my other questions here a little, talking about, and you don't hear it much around here technically, but, more so on the national level in bigger cities. But, and it sounds almost silly asking this question about what we've already talked about, but people that will say defund the police. I mean, here we're talking about we need more money, and then they're going, no, take it all away from them. What would be the result of that?
Well, I'll tell you, man. If say budgets come up, our fiscal year starts July the 1st.
Yeah.
So about the middle of May, I'll start working on our budget, our estimate of needs, to submit to our excise board and things of that nature. And, I haven't had to do it yet, but from what I've been told, you got to go in there and argue your case to get your budget. I'll tell you, if my budget gets cut now, you're looking at laying people off.
Yeah.
Not being able to get, equipment that you need. I've never been in this position since I've worked at the sheriff's office my whole 7 years, but I do remember when I dispatched way back years ago. I remember us not having money for gas. So when people would call in wanting to report a burglary, you'd have to tell them, well, you got to come to the sheriff's office because, the deputy can't come out to you.
Wow.
And that's one thing that I don't ever want to have to be in that position.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that's what happens when you defund.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What? And then, yeah. There's a saying talks about, that the only thing to allow evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing, and that's, when they can just run free and do whatever they want, and they will. And you talked about this some, but I don't know, maybe you got some more on it, but how's your department using technology to fight crime and improve safety?
Well, like with the radars, that's a big traffic safety deal. I know it's a controversial issue, but they've talked about those flock cameras in Tulsa, writing people tickets for, not having insurance and stuff. I've looked at those, but not from that aspect of it. I've looked at it of, if we have a high crime area, can I put that up somewhere and try to catch the people coming in and out?
Yeah.
That's kind of the perspective I've looked at it.
As a temporary thing, possibly?
Yeah, so something that you can move. I don't want something that's going to be there forever. I don't care about writing, 1 million tickets. I can go ahead and tell you, writing tickets is not my priority. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. So off of each ticket that we write, it don't matter how much the fine is the person has to pay. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol gets more money off that ticket that my deputy wrote than we do. So as far as I'm concerned, that's not high priority to me. Wow. What's high priority to me is solving crime in our county and trying to make our citizens safe.
Yeah. Gotcha. What's your approach to repeat offenders? They, a lot of times police departments and sheriffs catch the brunt of the blame on some of that they were arrested for this. They were in jail for this short amount of time, and now they're back out doing the same old thing again. Is there really anything you can do, or who does that?
Unfortunately, that is something that's totally out of our control. As far as repeat offenders go, I'll tell you, man, there's people I've dealt with my whole career. Yeah. And we career still offenders. Deal with them. Yeah. Yeah. And if you stick around and do this long enough, you start dealing with, their kids or whatever.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But as far as, them staying in jail, that's, the judge sets the bond and then it goes from there out of the court system. The biggest thing that, the part that we play into it, I would say, is how well that we did our report, how well that we collected evidence and went from there.
Gotcha.
Because that's what we do when we come out, whether we take them to jail or not, we take the report, we document it, we articulate it in the report, we collect evidence, and we present all that to the district attorney's office. Mm-hmm. District attorney's office then presents that to the judge sets a bond, and then goes through the court system.
Gotcha. So if I'm a brand new deputy at Okfuskee County Sheriff's Office, what kind of training would I go through?
So the way that it works is, if I hired you tomorrow, You'd start Monday. You'd show up. We'd get you sized for, some uniforms. Make sure you got all the equipment you need. And then probably for the first, month or so, you're going to be riding with another deputy, one that's already certified and it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
From that point, after that month, we'll start letting you have your own unit, and we'll kind of shadow you. You won't take calls by yourself or work by yourself until you've been through the academy. But see, there's on average, about a 6-month waiting period from the time that you hire somebody by the time that Cleat will get them in an academy.
Because they might decide this ain't their gig, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah,
Which
they
is
don't want to spend the money.
yeah.
You
Which
don't
is
want to, right?
It's a good thing, because in that 6 months time, that really gives somebody it gives them that time to think, is this really what I want to do? Is this really the career I want to go for?
Would you recommend someone maybe do ride-alongs before, applying, or?
Well, you can do ride-alongs all the time, but here in Okfuskee County, it's real hit and miss.
Yeah.
So we may have like a week go by where we don't have nothing going on. But boy, that next week, it's really going to kick your butt.
Yeah.
So if you were going to do that ride-along thing, I would say make it consistent for a couple of months before you take that step.
Gotcha. Let's see. And we kind of touched along some of this already, but yeah, the department is the department having challenges recruiting or retaining deputies?
So
yeah, and if yes, what can be done to improve that? We've kind of touched on some of this already, but
it's hard to draw in people, experienced people that's been doing this a while, because a lot of the times they're going to be going for bigger and better departments. I mean, I'll tell you, Okema pays probably close to $8 an hour more than what my deputies do, and that's just for an officer here in Okema. Creek Nation Light Horse, I think their guys are at either $27 or $30 an hour, starting out somewhere in that ballpark, where my guys aren't making that much.
yeah,
so it's hard to attract those in.
yeah.
But I will tell you, the guys that I do have, they're happy to do it for what they're getting paid, because they care about the community and they have an active investment in this community. So I've kind of shifted my focus from getting people that are experienced to come here,
Yeah.
to who in this community wants to do this job, who's interested in it. Let's go ahead and send you through the academy, and it's what we call home growing.
Mm-hmm.
You get somebody that lived here their whole life. If they're interested in law enforcement, I'll give them a shot.
Gotcha. Well, that's all I got. So appreciate you coming.